Welcome into Golden State Warriors Today by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Hope all of you are having a great week and enjoying your Wednesday here on this fine July 10th of 2024. Coming up here on the show, we know that Golden State doesn't have a lot of money to spend. So we're going to take a look at some vet min targets who Golden State can still sign, 10 players that we're going to dive into here on the show. You first start off by taking a look at the Warriors roster, and this is where Golden State is positioned right now with players who are on standard NBA contracts. We're not going to take a look at two-way players right now. We are going to include Quentin Post, who hasn't signed his rookie deal, but this is the Warriors roster as currently constituted right now. You have Steph Curry, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, three of those players making a lot of money. The Warriors electing to bring back Gary Payton II as well as Kevon Looney as they opted into their player options. Jonathan Kuminga is seeking that long-term contract extension. There's some chatter that he thinks that he is a $200 million player. Moses Moody taken in the same draft as Jonathan Kuminga at 14 overall after Kuminga went 7th to Golden State. Brandon Podjemski, the Dubs' first-round pick from a year ago. Trace Jackson-Davis, the second-round pick from a year ago. I'm a believer in Gui Santos. I think at some point he can become an NBA rotation player. During draft day, the Golden State Warriors trading for Lindy Waters, and originally they traded away the 52nd pick. Then they reacquired it to take the 7-footer Quentin Post out of Boston College. Then the Dubs making some moves in free agency. You have Buddy Hield, DeAnthony Melton, Kyle Anderson, also on this Warriors team. So right now, where do you think the Warriors are? Grade this roster. A, B, C, D, or F. Sound off with what you think down below and let us know down in the comment section. Maybe this Warriors team could improve if they signed some of these veterans to vet min deals. Kyle Lowry, still out there. Philadelphia 76ers, Phoenix Suns, really in pursuit of his services. He did play the back end of the year with Philadelphia, his hometown team. He played his college ball at Villanova. He, of course, is at the tail end of his career, but he can still play. And this is a player who has played a lot in playoff games and has really seen it all as an NBA player. Very smart, high basketball IQ when he's on the floor. He is kind of the extension of a coach. So if the Warriors want a ball handler, a player who can play off ball, a player who's going to get in your grill defensively, Lowry can certainly fulfill that. With Philadelphia, he first started his season with the Miami Heat, and then he went to the Hornets as part of that trade that brought in Scary Terry. And then he didn't play for the Hornets, so he got bought out. Philadelphia picking him off the scrap heap. And 8 points per game, 44.5% from the floor, 40.4% from three-point range. Those numbers, pretty dang good for a playoff team. Vet min target number 2, Luke Kennard, one of the better three-point shooters in the NBA. Now, Golden State signed Buddy Hield as part of that sign-and-trade move with Philadelphia, so maybe they checked the box of finding a shooter there, but you can never have enough shooters. The issue with Luke Kennard, can't really defend all that much. And for what he was making on that previous contract that he signed, he was a little bit too expensive for being a one-way player. But on that one side of the floor, he's elite. And that's shooting the three-point pill. 2023-2024, third in the NBA in catch-and-shoot percentage at 48.7%. Year before that, first in the NBA at 52.5%. And then in 2021-2022, 45.8%. That ranked 7th in the NBA. So while he doesn't really give you much in the form of defense, he can light it up and he can shoot that thing. That is for sure. Lonnie Walker is a player who actually gave the Warriors some issues in that second-round series 2 seasons ago. He came in off the bench for LA, and I thought he played well, hit a couple of timely shots. He's a pretty good athlete. Still a young player, too, in his mid-20s. I think there's a decent basketball player in there. It's surprising to me he hasn't had more of a market. Last year, he did improve his three-point shot with the Brooklyn Nets. He connected on 38.4% of his threes. The year before that with the Lakers, got some decent run, 56 games played, averaged nearly 12 points per, 36.5% from three. So early in his career, first-round pick by the Spurs, and he was a little bit raw, didn't develop that outside shot. But the last 2 years, you see he has become a somewhat capable outside shooter. Marcus Morris is a player who's going to give you toughness. He is never going to have any fear, regardless of the opponent, regardless of the circumstance or the situation. He, too, of course, an older player at this point of his career. Really good career at Kansas, and then he has played for so many teams at the NBA level. Last year, 6.5 points per game, 43.9%, from the field, but 40% from three. He'll occasionally stretch it out there. He's going to play the 4 spot, not going to give you many minutes at the 5 unless you really want to go small ball, but other teams would try to exploit that matchup and take advantage of him if he were to play that 5 spot on the defensive end. Robert Covington barely played last year with Philadelphia. He was included in that Sixers-Clippers trade that sent James Harden to LA and had to deal with this problematic knee issue where he just couldn't get it right and couldn't see the floor at the end of the year after playing sparingly with the Sixers. Pretty cool story for him. He was a UDFA guy who went to Tennessee State, and then early in his career, a really good 3-and-D player with Philadelphia. He's had some really good years as he's been in the league for a while, but clearly on the downslope here. His strengths have been defense and threes, but over the last couple of years, he has been injured. That's why he's a vet-min target on today's show. Pick a player that you want the Warriors to sign. It can be one of the 5 that we talked about, one of the 5 we're about to talk about, or somebody else. You never know. You drop a name down in the comment section, we might start talking about that player. Dennis Smith Jr., what an exciting high school prospect and exciting player at NC State. Just hasn't lived up to the athletic hype. Some people thought, oh, he could become the next Russell Westbrook, and even Russell Westbrook can't really shoot the outside shot. Dennis Smith Jr. makes him look like a good shooter. He's also been injured, too, over the last couple of years. A high flyer who can leap, he can handle, he can defend a little bit. He's very aggressive on the defensive side of the floor. He's a decent creator on offense, but just a terrible jump shooter. And since 2017-2018, 56 games played or less. Gordon Hayward with the Utah Jazz, a tremendous player. And then during the offseason several years ago when he signed with the Boston Celtics, he was probably the most coveted free agent that summer. And then game 1 with Boston suffered that nasty injury. Has not been the same player since. He was traded from the Hornets to the Oklahoma City Thunder last year, and you thought he's going to be able to give OKC some veteran leadership and some depth, but wasn't even a part of the Thunder playoff rotation. He did play a little bit in the regular season, 17 minutes per game on the best team in the West record-wise, but as you can see, the numbers certainly down from what he did with the bad Hornets squad. Jae Crowder, you want a physical player who has played also in a lot of playoff games, can knock down the 3 and defend. He certainly did that at a very, very high level when he was in his prime. And while the play has declined a little bit last year for Milwaukee, 6 points per game, 3 rebounds. He'll certainly get active on the defensive side of the floor. If he is given the vacant look from deep, he's shown that he can bury it. Last year, the 3-point shot did struggle a little bit, 34.9%. The year before that, 43.5%, but he only played in 18 games. When he was with the Phoenix Suns, especially for that team that made it to the NBA Finals and lost to the Milwaukee Bucks, a very valuable player for Phoenix. Spencer Dinwiddie, kind of overnight, he's lost it a little bit. You know, a couple of years ago with the Brooklyn Nets, he was able to score it at a high rate, but last year he barely played for the Los Angeles Lakers after he had signed with them. And for Spencer Dinwiddie, when he was at kind of his peak, he could create, he could finish around the rim. He had a nice little mid-range, almost a poor man's DeMar DeRozan with maybe a little bit of a 3-point shot. But last year he got DNP'd a lot by the Lakers. Only 24 minutes per game in those 28 games played, but he shot under 40% from the field. The good, almost 39% from 3-point range. Chuma Okeke, really good player with Auburn, just hasn't really translated to the NBA level. A big body at 6'6", 229. The issue with him and why he hasn't really been able to carve out consistent minutes or a big role on an NBA roster, hasn't been able to shoot at all. That part of his game has just been missing over the last 4 years, and these are his career numbers, has not gone over 35% from 3. And that was the area of his game when he was entering the draft that certainly needed to improve. So 10 Vetman free agents right there. If you enjoyed today's show, give me a real one down below. Really appreciate your support here on Warriors Today. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button.